Hello there, one and all, and welcome to episode 351 of Love at First Scent with me, Persolaise, coming to you live from YouTube. Thank you very much for tuning in, whether you're watching live or you're watching recording. If you haven't already subscribed to this channel, please do consider doing so. And we always have to see who the first comment came from. And it's Pradeep saying hello, but Rich Mitch is not far behind in second place, saying hello as well. Gavin is here too. We have to give a special mention, though, to Shan, who a few minutes ago wrote and said, "It's almost 1 a.m. in Sri Lanka, and I can't bear to keep my eyes open any longer. I will tune in tomorrow and watch this. Cannot wait." Shan, I hope you're not still watching. Please get some sleep. I do not expect anybody to lose sleep over these videos. That is what the recordings are there for, people, okay, for you to enjoy them in your own good time. For the benefit of those of you watching live, though, the plan for today is to do two back-to-back videos, two new release videos. But keep the comments coming. Who's writing in? John S. says, "Greetings from one of planet Earth's most exotic nooks, New Jersey." You enjoyed. I'd love to see it one day, actually. Never ever crossed the Atlantic. Chang is saying bonsoir from Nice. Lotta is saying hello from Helsinki. Sandra 101 is saying hi from Los Angeles. We've got Dimitri from Novi Sad in Serbia, and lots of other people. Okay, so this is a single perfume review video, contrary to what you may think here, but I mean, it's pretty obvious why the rest of these guys are here. Because we have a new Hermes garden. We have a new Jardin. It's right here, and it's going to be one that is really going to put my pronunciation capabilities to the test, because in French, it's un jardin. Oh, you can't see that, can you? Or can you? Un jardin à Cythere. Now, I'm guessing that the Greek island of Kythira. And how are we going to say it? Are we going to say Kythira, which I think is more of the sort of anglicized way of saying it? But I think in Greek the stress is slightly different, and it's a little bit more like Kythira. I have no idea, but I gather that in French it's Cythere. I don't know, but anyway, it's a Greek island, and that is the locale for the latest garden from Hermes. You said it perfectly in French, says Philippe. Hello. Merci beaucoup. Thank you very much. I'm very, very pleased. I will not try pronouncing it again in case I say it wrong. Perfect pronunciation, says Broly. Thank you very much. Now, interesting that already two people have said that they are enjoying this one. Ollie says beautiful fragrance, and I'm sure somebody, oh yes, SMC says I've tried this one and I think it's very interesting. Christine Nagel does not disappoint. Hello from NYC. Hello back to you. Okay, so maybe I'm going to be the one who's a little bit of a downer with this one, but I am going to re-smell it with you. I have got a beautiful Hermes press release. Hermes press packs are always interesting. This one is no exception. To put it in a little bit of context, for those of you who may not be aware, the Jardin range from Hermes was started by Jean-Claude Eleanor, and I've got my notes here, in 2003. So actually, this is the 20th anniversary release. And the very, very first one was the one that we've got here, the Mediterranean Garden, which is based very much on a fig note. And I think that one pretty much set the tone for certainly the next three that followed. In 2005, we had Jardin sur le Nil, which easily remains my favorite. It's actually one of my favorite Hermes scents anyway. Then a couple of years after that, so in 2008, we had Jardin après la mousson, inspired by an Indian garden after the monsoon. Really, really fascinating, intriguing, quite unique take on things like tomato leaf and ginger. And then in 2011, we had Jardin sur le... was it? Yeah, sur le toit, which was inspired by the Hermes rooftop garden, and it was just this note-perfect evocation of apples and pears and orchard fruit. Then things seemed to go in a different direction, and in 2011 we had the final Jardin created by Jean-Claude Eleanor, and it was Jardin de Monsieur Lee. It was the first one that was named, and so far the only one that was named after a character, after a person. And it was supposed to be a Chinese garden with a sort of abstract jasmine note. And I'll tell you what I thought of that in a moment. I think my opinion of that one has sort of gone down a little bit over the years. And then in 2019, we had Christine Nagel's first garden, Jardin sur la Lagune, or Lagoon, which I think, if memory serves, was based on a kind of abandoned or isolated, secluded, walled garden somewhere near Venice or in Venice. And so now the second garden from Christine Nagel, inspired by the Greek island of Kythira. Oh, H2ONO says Monsieur Lee is the best. Well, there you go. So clearly they appeal to different people. I am gonna spray this one so that at least I can smell it and talk to you about it while I'm sort of giving you my overall views. I'm looking at the press release. So here we go. 20th anniversary garden from Christine Nagel, a perfumer whose work I continue to admire and respect, and I love her sensibility and the sensitivity that she brings to her work. Yes, and I can't shake off the very, very first impression that I had of this when the sample arrived is still the first impression that I get now. It makes me think of H24, Christine Nagel's own recent-ish release for Hermes, the sort of new, much touted, much hyped masculine, the first masculine since Terre d'Hermes. It starts off with the same, at least to my nose, with the same cool, sharp, urban glassiness. Now, I seem to be one of a small number of people out there who actually really, really like H24. I wore the EDT lots and lots and lots when it came out. It became one of my sort of main scents on rotation during that particular summer. I enjoy the EDP as well. But it's not really what I was expecting from this. And then immediately the next thing that comes in is a nutty note. And very definitely pistachio, a kind of earthy, crunchy, green, juicy pistachio. So we'll let that develop for a bit. It hasn't grabbed my heart, the Kythira one, Cythere, and it has made me think, and this is going to sound terribly mean, but number one, you know that we're always honest on this channel, and number two, I don't mean it in a mean way. I mean it in terms of just critical discourse and thinking about this. I wonder if this series has run its course, and I wonder actually if it should have stopped at Jardin sur le Toit. And I haven't sat down to articulate these thoughts in great detail yet, because that's partly what I do with these videos, right? I see what you say and I get into a dialogue with you, and what you say and how I respond helps me, formulate my own thoughts. But the first four, the Mediterranean one, the Nile, the Indian one, the monsoon one, and the garden, the rooftop one, really seemed to have a very, very, very convincing, very kind of unforced naturalness about them. I almost felt like saying, when I was preparing for this video, that they were four of the most naive, and I mean that in inverted commas, the four most naive Hermes scents. But then, when I kind of thought about that, I thought, well, what about the monsoon one? Because that's a little bit of an outlier. It's a little bit too strange and a little bit too odd to be considered naive. But there is something about those first four that, for a start, is very genuinely naturalistic, very, very unforced, very, very exuberant somehow, very colorful. I mean, I think it's absolutely no coincidence that the first four had bottles which were sort of variations of these shades that you came here, and then suddenly Jardin de Monsieur Lee came along and started going more for these sorts of color codes. That marked a real kind of shift. And I wonder if that was the point when actually the idea was running out of steam a little bit, but perhaps there was pressure on Jean-Claude Eleanor and then later on Christine Nagel to keep churning them out, and it just feels as though maybe they're grasping at straws a little bit, and this isn't a line that I think should be over intellectual. or overly wrought. I think those sorts of ideas and thoughts can go into the Hermescence. And so to give Christine Nagel her due, I think she has embraced the Hermescence range brilliantly. She has really made that her own. She took the standard set by Jean-Claude Eleanor, but she didn't try to emulate it. She didn't try to copy it. And she's really, really made very much her own versions of the Hermescence with things like Violette Volinka and the ones that she came out with, the Cèdre Sans Bac and Cardamusk, of course. Gavin says, in short, computer says no. Yeah, but we don't do things in short, right? If you're going to be one of these people that starts leaving comments like you're talking too much, then you can leave, because this is about extended thought. Pradeep says Gallo is her best, in my opinion. It's certainly one of her best. I really, really love Gallo d'Hermès, but I really like Twilly. She's really also gone in and done some very interesting things with the main range and not tried to, I've said this before and I'll say it again. Thank goodness H24 is not a clone of Bleu de Chanel and Dior Sauvage and, I don't know, YSL L'Homme and insert another one in there. But this just feels like, this doesn't really convince me that it's a garden. It feels like it's a kind of abstract, chilly, intellectual interpretation of a garden. With Nil, with Sur le Toit, with Méditerranée, with the Monsoon one, I am in the outdoors. They really, really manage to place the outdoors on my skin. And I think that was the point of them. I think that is what they did really, really well. And the cologne range, the lighter cologne range, is interesting because I think Nagel is finding her feet there too. What was the most recent one? The rhubarb, right? Was it? No, not basil. The purple basil. That was really, really great because again, a fragrance that was not trying too hard. But this one, let's see how it develops. But we should give it its due, and we should look at the press back. The press back is a series of loose sheets, but don't worry, I'm not going to start reading every single thing to you. And it's entitled Fragments of a Greek Summer, and it's all to do with it's all sort of based around cutouts showing pictures. So I'll share a little bit of it with you. The first fragment starts like this. There is an island where the summer sun shines almost all year round. Come the afternoon, a furtive wind takes you there. The hot wind envelops you. The wind sings in the tall grasses and the trees. The gentle wind brings a radiant smile to your lips. The wind transports this eternally young garden of Greece to you. It carries you to the island of Kythira, whose name alone is an invitation to travel. I love how they've done this on sort of very, very, almost like onion paper, sort of very translucent. And then you turn the page and you get the second fragment. Herb says, seems very windy. Yeah, did you get that? It's a wonder, a surprise. You are in a dry garden among untamed nature, a garden that is neither green nor floral. Yeah, I suppose you could say that again. A blonde garden, a garden that grows without rain or the human hand. Alongside olive trees, fresh pistachios and grasses exude a scent. You just said it wasn't green. What color is this grass then? Grasses exude a scent so powerful that the breeze carries it all the way to you. In the distance, shades of blue are newly born of the sea and sky. You feel a new strength. Well, pistachios do contain a good dose of calories, nice bit of nutrients. You probably would feel energized after having some. Is this the happiness promised by the bright sky where the sun never fades? Is it the strength of the olive tree, whose trunk you embrace on an irresistible impulse? Sorry, okay, so you've had your pistachios and now you're hugging the olive trees. I shouldn't do this, should I? It probably sounds a lot more poetic in French. Cloudy says, they said it's a dry garden, so presumably the grass is yellow. Sounds lovely. And Gavin says, these are the lyrics of La Isla Bonita. Oh, don't you dare. And that is a tropical island. Or at least the island breeze was tropical, wasn't it? Okay, I need to know what happens in the third fragment, people. Right. Stop it. We haven't had a good press release for it. I actually think this is okay. This is one of the better ones. Come on. Right, third fragment. A garden that brings you back to gentleness. A garden that takes you on a journey. A universal garden where each person rediscovers their own memories and sensations. A welcoming garden that exalts familiar scents. A wild garden that rekindles the energy of free spirits. Between earth, sky, and sea, steeped in sunshine, it is blonde, white, and blue. I don't know what country that flag is. And come on, we've got to do the fourth one then, haven't we? Tropical, the island breeze. Yeah, all of nature, wild and free. Yes, we're there, we're there. Fourth fragment. Legend has it that Aphrodite, goddess of love and beauty, was born on the island of Kythira, an island where Mother Earth is generous, an island where everyone reconnects with sensations and memories, the tender island of childhood, the blissful island of desires, the most secret and truest island of the self. At journey's end, when evening comes and the warm wind subsides, the joyful heart warmed by the enveloping scent holds the radiant presence of Greece. And it whispers the words, I am home. At least it's grammatically intact. There's something kind of cute and childlike about this description, says Herb. Yeah, and I don't disagree. And then we get some pictures, with like sort of cutouts. And hopefully there will actually be... All right, so there's your overall collage. So there's your sort of mood board for Cythere. And are we going to get anything about the perfume? The quote from Christine Nagel, who says, my garden grew close to the ground, but when I looked up, I discovered the presence of olive trees planted like the backbone of the blonde hair formed by the grasses. Okay, so the grasses are blonde colored. I also saw the vivid flesh of a pink pistachio, fresh and tender like rosy cheeks. So olives, grass, pistachio. And finally, please, I'm not going to read or is this the one where we actually get some proper descriptions? Okay, so for the fifth fragment, we, I think, get some more prosaic description. How do you capture wild nature and bottle it? For the seventh opus in the Parfum Jardin collection, Christine Nagel has recreated her very first trip to the island of Kythira in the Peloponnese. Reconnecting with the magic of alchemists, she has engaged in poetic creation in a quest for the sensations triggered by golden grasses, olive wood, and fresh pistachio, of which there is no extract. It is a garden of memories, born of recollections of travels around Greece, and elevated by Hermes, in-house perfumer. And that's kind of it. And there's a little bit of a credit for the person who did the illustration on the box. Very attractive illustration. It is a Greek artist called Elias Kafouros, whose distinctive style is achieved using ink, pen, and paint. I think we should just go back to smelling. If only there was an olive oil note, says Pradeep. Right. Yeah. Yes, there's maybe a kind of fattiness of olives, which kind of links with this, with the fatty nuttiness of pistachio as well. But there is overall this sense of something quite synthetically clean, quite clinically bright. And I don't know. This just doesn't buy it. Maybe this is going sort of some way towards being convinced by it some way, but this just doesn't buy it. I don't believe I'm seeing or feeling the sun. I don't believe that I'm walking across a sort of more parched landscape. It feels like an interesting intellectual exercise, but and as I said, I've worn it a couple of times, but it didn't really make any kind of particular impression on me. I don't find it unlikable, but it's not going to steal my heart in the way that some of the other ones were. Tamara says, which is your favorite Hermes Jardin sur le Nil? Absolutely. Are these aiming in the same direction as an Aqua Allegoria, says Herb? No, I don't think so. I think they're trying to be a bit more complex than that. So we will do a blotter update probably 24 hours after the fact. I'll do a little blotter update in the video description below. But it's just, I think, a bit too sharp and not especially rewarding. You know, I want to experience some of the surprise that they talk about in that press pack, but it's not there. It's a little bit too quick to reveal all its facets. But there we go. There we go. An interesting effort nonetheless. And whenever you're watching this video, you know, if you're watching this video weeks and months from now, if you've just tried this, please let me know what you think. It was interesting reading the comments at the beginning, you know, with some people saying that they prefer Monsieur Lee, etc., because maybe actually what I need to appreciate is that this is becoming a range that is going to try to appeal to lots and lots of different people with lots and lots of different tastes. We shall see. Time will tell. But there we go. Thank you very much for watching this one. Feel free to leave a comment, ask a question at any time. But if you are sticking around for the live, we will be back in a few minutes with something from a very different sort of perfume house from over on the other side of the Atlantic. See you in a bit. Bye now.